I'm not sorry to introduce two speakers here that will speak with us for the next half hour or so before lunch today. And I'll just say a couple of brief words and then turn it over. The first is Katie Arnold, who is the Executive Director of the Sibling Leadership Network and has a sister with intellectual disabilities. She's also lived in a L'Arche community and worked there. She works at the Illinois University Center of Excellence in Developmental Disabilities at the University of Illinois at Chicago as the Director of Community Education. She won numerous awards, including the 2009 UIC Humanitarian of the Year Award for her dedication for people, for the advancement of people with human rights of people with disabilities. And she won the 2011 Chicago Young Nonprofit Professional of the Year Award. The second person is Tim Stone, who is joining Katie, who is a core member of L'Arche Chicago. He works as an artist at Arts of Life, where he paints abstract art. He also has his own coffee business called Tim's Equality Coffee. I'll have to try some of that. So please welcome Katie and Tim. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Tim Stone. As today, I live at L'Arche community that works with that I could live with. It's people without disabilities, and I just love L'Arche, and I couldn't be here today without the support of my family in L'Arche. And I'm glad that I'm here.
And Tim, you've been at L'Arche for 2 years now,
Yes.
and you're a core member. Can you explain to people what a core member is?
Okay, a core member is, we live at L'Arche, we're a core member. Yeah, at the L'Arche, the core members are the heart of the community, where we, and the people who live with us, our assistants, and they live with us 24 hours a day, and they take care of us, and we take care of them, and we make decisions together. We all make decisions as a family, and L'Arche really supports us to making decisions, and they really support self-advocacy and everything that I could dream of, I have.
And can you tell people a little bit about the work that you do?
Yes, I work at Arts of Life as an art community with people with intellectual disabilities and without, doing a work community together. And I do abstract art, and Arts of Life and my dad and my family supported me in doing my dream is to have my own coffee business, and I am doing it with the help of my job coach that Arts of Life hired. And right now I'm working on my business license, and my goal is to finish the test in the end of August and get the business license, and then I could start going out to and selling my coffee to businesses, small business, and to the general population.
And what about your family?
Yeah, my dad and I have a sister, and my mom died when I was very little, but I love my dad and my sister. They supported me through the good times and hard times.
How much older is your sister?
She's the oldest. I think she's like 2 years older than me.
And what's unique about your dad?
My dad is a Catholic priest for the Archdiocese of Chicago, and he left the priesthood with permission, got married to my mom, had me and my sister. My mom died, and he's reinstated again, and now he's a priest at Mary Seat of Wisdom.
Great. And my name's Katie Arnold, and I lived at two different L'Arche communities, the L'Arche in Tacoma, Washington, and also L'Arche, Chicago, where I've had the pleasure to become friends with Tim. I grew up in New Jersey as the second oldest of 5 kids, and my sister Patrice has an intellectual disability, and she's really shaped my worldview in a lot of ways and influenced my career path. So when Bill Gaventa asked me to present about siblings, I was delighted. And I invited Tim to present with me because I thought it was really important to have the two perspectives as a sibling with and without disabilities. In my work in the disability field, there's a lot of focus on families. And I've come to realize that when people talk about the family, they often mean parents, which is very important. However, siblings are often overlooked and sometimes even forgotten as valued members of the family. Yet siblings have the longest relationships of their lifetime with each other, often 20 plus years longer than with their parents or even their partner or spouse. The sibling relationship is an enduring bond that has a profound influence throughout a person's life and has shared experiences and memories. And siblings are really uniquely positioned in the family to support their brother or sister with disabilities to lead self-determined lives. The peer nature of their relationship really makes them well suited to support each other throughout life. So today we want to talk about ways siblings can provide support to each other throughout the lifespan and strategies that can be used to engage sibling support in faith communities. We'll talk through some of the different life stages and share some initial ideas, and in our workshop this afternoon, we'll build on these ideas. Keep in mind that the sibling experience is varied. Each person has a different experience, and every relationship in every family is unique. Siblings do not choose to be related, but they will always be family. Because siblings are often the first and most intense peer relationship that children encounter, they learn a lot of the social skills from their sibling interactions, sharing, collaborating, resolving differences, compromising. Through sibling interactions, children build a foundation for developing their personality. Playtime is really important, and siblings teach and learn from each other, and they have a major influence on one another's behavior, development, and learning throughout their lives. Kids learn a lot about how to understand disability from their parents. If parents are sad or angry or confused, kids pick up on it. Tim, do you want to talk about the experience when your family started to learn about your disability?
Yeah. They had this one doctor who said to my...
Talk about the pad of pain.
Oh, yeah. Used to have a game that we used to play when I was little with my sister, and my dad played it too, and my mom.
What was the game called?
The pot and pan game. And they would hit the pots and pans, and one time I would look up and hear everything. Then they did it again down the road, and I did not look up, and I didn't hear anything. So my mom said to my dad, "Something's wrong with Tim. We got to go to the doctor to find out what's going on because he did not look up."
And what happened when you went to the doctor? What did the doctor
The doctor said to my dad and mom, "Your son won't be able to talk. Your son will not be able to drive, will not walk, will not be able to do anything in life."
And what did your family think of that?
My family did not take that in account. They thought that they were wrong, and they wanted to prove to them that they were wrong. So with the help of my dad and sister and support of my family, they really took advance and really not force me, but encourage me to do things that other people might take other people much quicker than me. But I did it, and I tried and tried again. And if I gave up, my sister said, "Don't give up. You try and try again, and eventually you'll get it." And she was right. I finally got it. I could drive. It took me a long time, but I said to my dad, "I want to prove those people wrong who said that I could never drive." And I drive, and I now owning my own company.
So with a lot of support that you got from your family, from your dad and your sister,
Yes.
you've been able to live the life that
Right.
you want.
And the life I have at Lausch now, my
Right.
second family.
Absolutely. Kids also learn from their parents about faith. At home, some families pray at meals or at bedtime, and they watch how their parents and other siblings do this. They learn from each other about how to behave during worship service and begin to attend religious education classes. Tim, can you tell everybody about your sibling story with going to religious education classes, the
Yeah.
Montessori school?
Okay, I went with a Montessori school with my sister. They had a neighbor that family owned a Montessori school in Long Grove, Illinois, and she would pick us up because she lived in Park Ridge, the same, sort of not that far from us, and would pick us up in a big blue van and would take the hike all the way from Park Ridge to Long Grove every Wednesday morning. I would go only Wednesday morning, when my sister would go every day, and I would only go on Wednesday, and it was nice. And
What about when you went to school? What school did you go to?
yeah, I
with your
went
sister?
to the public school. I couldn't go to the Catholic school when my sister went because they didn't have any special education then, and so I went to the public schools.
And then what about your confirmation?
Yeah, I took a confirmation at Our Lady Mother of the Church, and it worked really well. The teacher who taught me really worked really hard with me and helped me, and everyone else there supported me.
Siblings also often learn to be advocates at a young age. They have to handle questions from peers, how to deal with people staring or maybe making fun of their brother or sister with a disability, or being the targets of taunts themselves through stigma by association that they may experience. And Tim, you have a story about that growing up.
Yes. Well, most of the neighborhood kids was very nice to me and my sister and everybody, but they had this one girl named Corey Barker who was a bully and made fun of me and said the retarded to me and made fun of me. And if she saw other kids playing with me, she would literally throw sand in everybody's eyes, especially mine and my sister's eyes. And my sister stood up and said, "Do not treat my brother like this, and it's not right what you're doing. Please get out of here." And eventually, my dad talked to them and said, "Do not do that again."
So this is really where parents and allies become so important to helping equip young kids with the information and the tools to speak up. They really need the language to answer tough questions and respond to ignorant comments. Sib shops are a fun gathering for younger siblings to get together and play games and really have a space to talk about and share what it's like to be a sibling. It's where they can vent some typical sibling frustrations, they can learn about different disabilities, and they can share strategies on how to deal with bullies and other things, questions that they get. And faith communities could provide space for sib shops to be held and could even sponsor sib shops for younger siblings. Siblings can also serve as a guide in navigating the social scene in faith communities. As Red Turnbull mentioned, facilitating friendship networks is so important. And I know as a sibling that many of my friends have become my sister Patrice's friends. And the siblings having that peer relationship, being in there, in that social scene, they know a lot that parents and teachers might not know about, and they can really help navigate and facilitate those networks. Siblings also can have insights into behaviors of their siblings with a disability, and also insights into how to include their sibling in different activities. They know key strategies, but often aren't asked. But siblings have expertise and a lot of insights, and they can really be problem solvers. Another idea we have is that siblings can be natural buddies to other kids with disabilities in the congregation, not just their sibling with a disability. Because they get it from their own sibling experience, that could be a natural way for them to buddy or support some other people with disabilities. However, it's really important to remember to ask the sibling and not assume that they'll be interested in filling that role. For some sibs, that might be the last thing they want to do. For others, it might be a great fit. So now in adolescence, that's when siblings can provide each other with companionship and emotional support as friends. They learn often to give care to each other. And research shows that regardless of how large a family is, that most often the oldest sister takes on the greatest caregiving duties for the brother or sister with a disability. As the oldest sister in my family, I can relate to this, as I would often babysit for my younger siblings, especially when my parents were at appointments for Patrice. Siblings will inevitably have times when they annoy each other, they can compete for their parents' love and attention, and that sibling rivalry is a very natural experience. And they have conflict. In adolescence, siblings can learn from each other about dating and sexuality. And Tim, you have an experience about that.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister and you dating and then sharing stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, my sister started dating in high school with a lot of different boyfriends at one boyfriend too, and then after that had another boyfriend, and we would my sister and I would talk together. Some things that we would never reveal to my dad, which I kept, and to this day I kept my promise that I would never mention what my sister said to me.
And so you and your sister had a trusting relationship where you felt comfortable talking about some of these things that you didn't feel comfortable always talking to your dad, especially because he's a Catholic priest.
Yeah, especially that.
So that can be something that for siblings, that peer relationship, and even just learning by observing and seeing as siblings start dating and having those relationships. One thing that's common among siblings in terms of dating that was really true for me is that many of us use our brothers and sisters with disabilities as a, quote, test. For example, it's really important for me to see how my partners reacted and then interacted with Patrice. And it was really a deal breaker if they didn't pass. So that's a key thing that a lot of siblings share. Siblings also learn from each other as they go through religious rituals and passages such as confirmation and bar or bat mitzvahs, and weddings are an important celebration for many families to mark a marriage. On SibNet, an online forum for adult siblings of people with disabilities to connect and provide peer support, one of the most common questions and concerns that siblings ask each other is, how do I include my brother or sister with a disability in my wedding? And this really brings up an opportunity for faith communities to help provide welcoming environments in terms of access and attitude. Similarly, funerals are important gatherings for the whole family to be included, and siblings can support each other through that grief and loss. So now thinking about adulthood, that's really a time where siblings often begin moving out of the family home and contact decreases as each person starts to kind of create their own life and have their own family. And so Tim, do you want to talk about what it was like with your sister going off to college?
Yeah, she moved out of college, and then it was just me and my dad, and I would always hope that I would be able to go, but never did, but that's okay.
And she would come back?
Yeah, she would come back and
holidays?
visit holidays, Christmas and Easter. And then after that, I got very sick, and she was away, so she really didn't know how sick I was until she came home one time for doing this, like a little break, to come home to visit us. And then she saw the incident saw the sickness that I got. My arm got injured, and she saw how bad it was, and then that really changed her mind to move back here, because besides me being sick, my dad got sick, so she ended up moving back here, and now she lives in the family home that I was brought up in.
So she moved back from New York, back to Chicago, to be closer to you. And siblings often start their own careers in adulthood. So do you want to talk about how your sister supported you with your career?
Yeah, my sister supported me in helping me, supported me to start my business. At first it was a hobby, and she helped me, and she helped me get ready the old website and business cards. And then eventually, she also supported me in doing my abstract art. And then after that, then I moved into Lausch, and then now I work at Also Life, and now Also Life is helping me, support me to get my business actually going. Like I'm studying with Misha to get my business license, and then after that, they're gonna also help me print out new. They also help me with a new logo and the new name. And they're going to help me print out new business cards after I get my business license.
And you also help your sister Beth in her career. How do you support her?
Well, I prayed for her, and I just supported her, and I said to her, keep on going. Eventually you will get a job.
So you have that mutual support as siblings. As parents age, planning for the future is important for families to begin thinking about transitioning support from parents. And siblings are often the next generation of caregivers for the brother or sister with intellectual disabilities. Though it's important to make sure that families talk about whether this is something that first, the person with a disability is comfortable with, and second, something that the sibling feels okay with. Guardianship is an area that comes up for many families of people with intellectual disabilities, and Tim has a guardianship story.
My dad and sister did not want to take that freedom away from me, so I'm my own guardian, but they're my power of attorney, and my sister is now just to be, when my dad dies, then my sister will be the power of attorney.
So you have an alternative to guardianship. There's a lot of different options out there, and every family is different, and this is what was right for your family, and something could be right for something different could be right for a different family. But just having those conversations about that are really important. I've seen how some families don't talk about the future because it's really difficult. Parents have to face their own mortality. When families don't talk, I've seen that it can really lead to this crisis state where people are dealing not only with the grief and loss of their parents, but also learning how to support their siblings with a disability. And seeing some of these other siblings that I know go through this type of crisis was really a wake-up call for me to talk to my family. So we began family future planning meetings a few years ago in my family, and I consider my family to be a pretty close family that communicates fairly well. And I was pretty surprised that the first meeting, when we sat down, we realized that we all had very different ideas about what the future could hold. We also learned that our parents assumed that upon their death, my older brother and I would become co-guardian of Patrice, yet they had forgotten to ask any of us about this. And so since that time, we've really had an important ongoing dialogue and gotten some key things in order. We still have a lot to do as a family, but it's really starting that dialogue that's so important about the future. And faith communities could provide resources to families on future planning and also provide space to hold trainings that lead families through the future planning process that really helps them start that dialogue about the future. Sometimes there's this idea that siblings should step in and fill in the shoes of their parents when their parents are no longer there. However, this can change the nature of the sibling relationship, sometimes in a negative way. Tim, do you think you want your sister to become like your mom in the future?
No. Absolutely not. And she agrees that way too. She doesn't want that to be either. She just want to be my sister and friend.
And you guys have a strong sibling relationship,
Yes, we do.
Which not every sibling relationship is like theirs. I think you have a really unique and strong sibling relationship. But I think that's the natural thought that I've seen siblings themselves have, this idea that, oh, when my parents are no longer there, I'm going to have to step in there and fill their shoes. And there's a lot of fear that, well, there's no way I could fill their shoes. There's no way I could do it as well. And I think there's a need to really reframe that and rethink that in different ways. And that's where the family dialogue can come in and start talking about, well, what do we want for the future? What could it really look like? And now you live at L'Arche, Tim. What does your sister Beth think of you living at L'Arche?
She's very happy that I live there because she sees that I'm very, very happy, and she knows that I'm in a place that I love, and now she could still get together with me, but now she knows that I'm taken care of, so she won't have to have that big burden on her after my dad dies.
And caring for aging parents can bring siblings together or pull them apart. It can be a challenging time for all sibling relationships. But interestingly, some research shows that people with disabilities do a lot for their aging parents in terms of caregiving. Often I think the thought is that the non-disabled person would be filling a lot of the caregiving role for their aging parents. But people with disabilities do a lot. They provide a lot of physical and emotional support. They provide companionship during the final years of parents' lives, and they play a really important role. So during old age and end of life, siblings' mutual support often intensifies even if contact may become less frequent. After retirement, siblings provide companionship to each other, often to compensate for the loss of other friends and family as they're getting older and other people are dying. Siblings can become closer during the final years of life and share stories of the past since they have so many shared personal experiences and memories. An important source of comfort and well-being can come from siblings when they look back on their lives and validate each other. And sometimes they can even resolve any conflict that they may have in their relationship. They can kind of address that as they get older before they themselves pass away. Siblings can help each other figure out their end-of-life wishes in the form of advanced directives and living wills. A colleague of mine, Tia Nellis, who is a strong self-advocate, educates people about the importance of having people with disabilities complete their own advanced directives. And this is something that families don't often think about because they assume that the family will make the end-of-life decisions. Yet it's an important way for people with disabilities to be part of their own healthcare decisions. So as you can see, the sibling relationships are intense, complex, and long-lasting. Before we close, I want to share some resources that help provide information and peer support to siblings of people with disabilities. We have some handouts, and I don't know if people got those handouts, but you can get them on your way out. They're right at the table by the door there where Bill Gaventa is. So the first resource that I want to let you know all about is called the Sibling Leadership Network. This is a national nonprofit dedicated to providing siblings of individuals with disabilities the information, support, and tools to advocate with their brothers and sisters and to promote the issues important to them and their entire families. Currently, we have 13 state chapters of the Sibling Leadership Network, and the vision is that eventually every state will have a chapter. National partners include Self Advocates Becoming Empowered, the Sibling Support Project, and the ARC. The Sibling Leadership Network holds national sibling conferences, leadership meetings, and webinars to educate siblings, family members, and professionals. I encourage all of you to go to the website and find out more about it. It's free and easy to join the network. You just sign up on the website and everyone is welcome, siblings and sibling supporters. This coming Saturday, 3 of the Sibling Leadership Network state chapters, which states?
Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan,
are all gathering for a Sibs in the City event hosted at my church, the First United Methodist Church at the Chicago Temple. We'll be having a sibling breakfast as well as a speaker and discussion, and then we're all going to go as a sibling group out to watch and cheer on the Disability Pride Parade that happens in downtown Chicago. If there are any adult siblings here that are interested in attending, please let me know and I can get you more information.
and I'm going to be going with my sister.
Another resource is the Sibling Support Project, which was founded by Don Meyer and has a lot of great resources. There's books by and for siblings. There's ways to connect with other siblings through SibNet for adult siblings, Sib Kids and Sib Teens for younger sibs, and Sib Parent, which provides a forum for parents to talk about their other kids instead of their children with disabilities. So if you come to our workshop this afternoon, we'll continue the discussion about sibling relationships. We'll talk about some of the ways the sibling relationship is similar as well as different from the parent-child relationship. And as a group, we'll share specific ideas and strategies on how we can work in ideas and strategies of what can work in faith communities to include and engage siblings. To conclude, Tim will share a quote from Jean Vanier, the founder of L'Arche, that resonates with what we've been talking about regarding the sibling relationship.
We are not called by God to extraordinary things,
To do.
God to do extraordinary things, but to do ordinary things with extraordinary love.